Hello and welcome to this afternoon taste challenge. I have two 40% alcohol Canadian blended whiskeys, and they're both bottled in Kentucky. Now, this is Harwood Canadian whiskey, introduced in 1969 by Seagrams. It was sort of a throwback to a 1930s, 40s, and 50s Canadian whiskey called Harwoods, apostrophe S. This is Harwood, 1969, Seagrams, aged 3 years. But what happened was they sold it to Heaven Hill in 1989, 30 years later. So, and then it's been a Heaven Hill brand ever since. Let's see. I forgot to put the notes there. Age. I believe these are both age 3. No age statement. Okay. Fix that problem. Age 3 years. Okay. Wings and pizza. Nice. Is this a pregame to Fandango Friday? Yeah, more or less a stopgap. Evening, Mr. R. When did Harwood enter the market in Louisiana? Oh, I don't have any idea. Probably 1969. Pre-game Fandango, yeah. You, says Burley Sullivan. All right, so yeah, so let's get down to it. So I bought this at Dorgnac's. It was $14.99. For the big bottle, you can get glass. 750s, 1 liter, but I hadn't seen the glass. I think I might have seen it one other place, but it was only $14.99, so I mean, it was a good deal. All right, yeah, we're getting the cold front too, so unfortunately. So it doesn't say anything about flavoring added or coloring, so it might be natural color, natural flavor. I'll say it might be. I really don't know. But I get that impression by looking at it and tasting it. Now, the competitor is James Foxe. And I noticed that the gold flakes are flaking off. The gold trim is flaking off. And this bottle is not old. This is not an old bottle. Bought this at Elio's Wine Warehouse about 2 years ago, and it was $4. This is going to sound like a lie. $4.99. They had a special. You could buy one bottle for $4.99, or you could buy 12 bottles, a case, for $4.17 each, $50. So you could buy a whole case for $50. But I mean, I didn't have any use for a whole case, but for whoever did, it was a great deal. And it was across the street. That place is across the street from Tulane University. So you would imagine that $50 for a case of full-size bottles of whiskey across the street from a university. Yeah, it probably did all right. And it didn't last. You know, that whiskey didn't last very long. But this is James Foxe. I'm shocked that the label has deteriorated, that all the color flaked off those stripes, but that's kind of weird. But anyway, introduced in 1975, also by Seagrams. So these two products have something in common. They were started by Seagrams, and then they were sold off 30 years later. This was sold to the Sazerac Company in 1989, same year. Well, Seagram started to take a nosedive, so they were selling off their brands, see if it would save the company, but it didn't do it. So James Foxe, some Canadian official from the colonial days, but then they show a fox on it, to go with his name. This label has not been changed essentially since 1975. I mean, they've changed a little bit of the lettering on it. Used to say imported Canadian whiskey. Yeah, I've never seen this in my town, but it's around. It's around. I like the ox blood. and the orange with the gold trim and the white kind of cream colored. Yeah, not white, cream color. Yeah, it looks sharp. It's a sharp looking bottle, really. Says Canadian whiskey with natural flavors. I mean, that doesn't mean much because any Canadian whiskey can have natural flavors added and they don't have to even disclose it. But doesn't say anything about coloring added. Might have coloring, doesn't appear to, but it might. So yeah, there it is. I mean, you'll find it here and there in Louisiana, here, there, not too much. It's around, but you might live in a state where it's in every store. You know, every liquor store has got it, but that's not the case. That's not the case here. All right, they're both pretty pale, so like I said, I don't get the impression that they're adding coloring because they're pretty pale gold. I don't know if y'all have ever had any one of these. Harwood, James Foxe. I like the James Foxe label. It looks very 70s. It is very 70s. 1975, and they never changed it. It's like standard, you know, just basic. That's whiskey. You don't like it, don't drink it. That's kind of like that's what the label's saying. Here it is. You don't like it, don't drink it. Get out of my house. Watch the Goose Island, Bourbon County Bananas Foster review. Was curious if it became more flavorful as it warmed up. That's a good question. No, actually, it didn't. It just was the same. So it was a disappointment in a sense that it didn't have enough banana flavor. You know, it wasn't like, I mean, it didn't really taste like Bananas Foster, honestly, but it did taste awesome. Though I mean, it was a 98. I gave it a 98 out of 100. Most excellent or outstanding. I mean, outstanding. So it was great, but could have used more banana. And on the other hand, now that might be a flavor that's difficult to put in a beer. Now, banana flavor could be very difficult to put in a beer because I've had the banana bread beer from England, and it smells like banana, just like that other one you're talking about. But when you taste it, the first sip is banana, and then it fades. It's like it's gone, and then it just tastes like beer, like regular beer. So banana could be a tricky flavoring to put in a beer. But it was a 98, but the price was an F, you know, $21.99. $21.99 for a bottle of beer. I was working with a guy and he was like, "What? Blank that." I think he meant forget that. He's like, "Anybody that would pay that is crazy." And I'm like, "I guess I'm crazy, you know, but something to try." And I was using a gift card that somebody gave me, so I didn't actually technically use my money. You know what I'm saying? And then I felt bad because last Friday, a week ago, I went to Rouse's in New Orleans. They had it for $1 cheaper, $20.99. I said, cuss to luck. I could have got it for $20.99, saved a whole dollar. Well, you know, Benjamin Franklin said, a penny saved is a penny earned. So can't argue with that. I'm curious why Canada has so many blended whiskeys. Is it a cost-cutting measure like using adjunct in beer? Says craft beer-tastic. I don't think that's actually the case. I think it's just the way their heritage developed with whiskey. It's just they kind of started doing that 150 years ago, blending different whiskeys together. You know, corn whiskey, rye whiskey, malt whiskey, sometimes wheat whiskey, barley malt whiskey, wheat whiskey. And the people liked the flavor of it, and it became very popular in the United States, a la Crown Royal, America's most popular whiskey. Sorry, Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, but Crown Royal is the best-selling one. But and it just became like a thing, you know. But to tell you the truth, a lot of bourbons that you buy are blended whiskeys, but they're not called blended whiskeys. They're called straight bourbon. But they're a blend of different whiskeys. Okay, they're not really that different from Canadian whiskey. So, like, you'll get on a bourbon website, it'll say this one is 80% corn, 10% rye, and 10% barley malt whiskey. Well, and we blend them together and make a great bourbon. I was like, well, that's blended, right? Because you're blending them together in a mix. But they don't call it that. They call it straight bourbon because that's a classification that they can use. So you might get a Canadian whiskey like one of these that's 80% corn, 10% rye, 10% barley malt whiskey, and you say, well, that's the same ratio. Yeah, but it might be aged in used barrels, used bourbon barrels. Uh, oh, of course, Canadian whiskey is allowed to be aged in new charred oak barrels. There's no law against that. New charred oak barrels, fine. And some is, some of it is, but generally they prefer to age it in used, old, leftover bourbon barrels. And why that is, I guess they prefer the flavor. Now, is it a cost-cutting method? It could be because these are both cheap as they say over in merry old England, cheap as chips. 14.99 and like literally $4.99. Not the normal price. I mean, if you find this in Louisiana, generally it'd be like for this size bottle, yeah. I mean, it'd be like $10.99. But hey, I found it. I bought it. Don't be jealous. I found it. I bought it. Okay, it's from Sazerac. They've been owning it for 35 years. Heaven Hill's been owning this 35 years. Seagram's went out of business, and so that's not really our problem, is it? They actually went out of business 11 years after they sold these brands because their decline was sort of sudden and rather rapid. It's just like Blockbuster. They just went down. But it wasn't because of some new technology like streaming movies. It was because they were mismanaged, apparently. But that's whiskey under the bridge. You can still buy Seagram's gin. You can still buy Seagram's vodka. You can still buy Seagram's Seven Crown American blended whiskey. You can still buy Seagram's VO. You can still buy Seagram's ginger ale from Coca-Cola. But you see, the brands got sold off. The company is gone, like Plymouth. But Plymouth is gone. You can't buy a Plymouth anymore. You can still buy Seagram's. I wonder how much of Canadian whiskey's popularity stemmed from Prohibition. Probably a good deal amount of it was smuggling and everything. Prohibition was the biggest scam. You think the scamdemic was bad 4 years ago? And that was very bad. But Prohibition was a much worse scamdemic. A scam, I mean. Okay, let's get to it. Time to get to it. You ready to get down to it, aren't you? It kind of smells like Canadian grains with a flavoring added, honestly. And this kind of smells like sweet Canadian grain whiskeys without flavoring added. But let's go with the taste to be fair. And I always try to be fair on the channel. Maybe I'm controversial, maybe I'm aggravating, but at least I'm fair. Oh, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. That's got to be the James Foxe. Is it pleasant? Yeah, it's pleasant. Is it mild? Sure. Is it mellow? Yes. Is it easygoing? Certainly. Is it bitey? No. Is it harsh? Not in any way. Is it fabulous? Are you kidding me? Is it great? Are you mad? Is it exceptionally impressive? Have you lost your mind? Is it basic? Yeah, now we're getting on. Now you're getting on the right pathway. Is it serviceable? Yeah. Is it tolerable? You betcha. You know what it is. It is what it is. But it's all right. And I like this kind of stuff. So hey, I eat at rallies. What do you think I'm okay? Or if I'm in Baton Rouge, it's called Checkers. But I mean, I can tell great products from ordinary. I mean, you put this up against 40 Creek, it's getting killed. No chance. Can't happen. You put this up against Crown Royal, it's a laugh riot. It cannot. It's decimated. Decimated. But on its own, it's kind of nice actually. I like the flavors, like vanilla flavor. It even almost has like a raisin, not golden raisin, like the purple raisins, the standard raisins. It has that kind of, I don't know where that's coming from. Yeah, I like it. If somebody said, well, how would you feel drinking 12 bottles of it from that case if you'd have paid $50 for the case? I'd have been fine with it. I don't know, it would have taken me the rest of my life, but I like the flavor, so it wouldn't have bothered me. Okay, let's go over here to Harwood. I know it's got to be Harwood. The name Wood, Harwood, it sort of reflects the flavor, which is heavy wood, like oak barrels. Now you get a little rye spice. You get that breadiness from barley malt. Yes. You get a lot of the corn distillate, corn whiskey. If you looked at the construction, how a Canadian whiskey is built, and then you look at the construction of how bourbon is built, you would say, well, wait a minute, they're the same thing. Right. But they don't use the same method per se, but they're very similar. Canadian whiskey and bourbon is very similar. I know that's going to cause some people to go stand on the ledge and try to jump, but it's true. I mean, you say, oh, they use used barrel. They age it in used barrels generally, and bourbon's new charred oak barrel. Yes, that's an important difference. I'm not disputing that. I'm talking about the grain construction. See, Checkers is low key, amazing, and cheap. I know. That big chicken sandwich, the cruncher, the mother cruncher. I'll be a mother cruncher. Well, I wouldn't be one. I would eat one. I get these coupons. They send them to me in the mail. Buy one, get one free. So 2 people can eat, and you be full when you eat the sandwich. And it's like $3 a person. $2.75 each, $3. Okay. What Canadian is better than bourbon? Oh, well, I can't answer that question. I cannot answer a question like that because that's a personal preference issue. You see, like, I'm sure that, yeah, I can't answer a question like that. It'd be like saying what kind of rye bread is better than white wheat bread. You can't answer a question. It's whatever you want to eat. You say, well, I like rye bread. Not me. I like white wheat. Well, I mean, you can't answer that. It's like saying what cherry flavored cola is better than a strawberry flavored cola. The question is almost like not answerable. We just recently started seeing Checkers locations showing up here in Pennsylvania, says Crapper Tastic. Oh, okay. But not Rallies. But it's the same company. Remember, there's Checkers and there's Rallies. And it was 2 companies that merged together around 30 years ago. But what happened was the owners of both companies realized that their menus were nearly identical and their concept was the same. Drive-through, no eating inside. 1950 style thing, you know what I'm saying? No, I mean, so they were like, why are we competing against each other? We have virtually the same product. So they merge and they just have an identical menu today. If you go there today, their menus are totally amalgamated. Like it's the same, it's like literally the same restaurant, but with 2 different names due to historical occurrences or facts. And my father was all happy because he got a check, a Rallies or is it a Checkers? I think he's got a Rallies where he lives. He said, "Oh man, they make such good burgers." Evening Ron is the pre-show. Yeah, I'm about to go to Fandango Friday. Go Lions! Thank you, says Lazarus. Here in Michigan, we have both within like 50 miles. Well, we have a Rallies in my town where I live here in my town. It's a mile and a half away, and they send me coupons every month. So it'd be like a large fries for $1. And their large fries is huge. And if you eat that, you will gain weight. You will gain weight. You will be full. If you're not full for that, I don't know how you couldn't be stuffed eating that. Stuffed, the cheesy fries, the fries with the chili cheese fries. Yeah, that's what they call it, chili cheese fries. $2.49. You'd be so full eating that. Oh, and they got, like I say, the Big Buford 2-for-1. The Mother Cruncher 2 for $1. Not 2 for $1. 2 for 1 price. You know what I'm saying? You buy one sandwich, you get the second one free. You can't beat those coupons. Now, I'm not going to claim it's healthy, but it's probably not that bad. It's fried in grease. What could be better than eating food in a deep fryer? Oh well. Do you get any smoky flavor from either of these whiskeys? No, absolutely not. Not in any way, but they're vanilla-ish, vanilla-y. But this one especially, it's got a lot of vanilla because I think they're adding vanilla to it. A natural flavor, vanilla extract. What would be the purpose for that? That's a great question. I don't know the answer. But yeah, it's got to be James Foxe, and that's a Sazerac. They're so Sazerac whiskeys are so house style, as people call it. That's it. Got it right. Got the Canadian Mist right. Not Mist. I'm out of that. Canadian the Northern Lights. Got the Northern Lights correct. I got Canadian Limited correct. I got James Foxe correct. Because they use this commonality. They're not exactly the same in flavor, but they're so similar. They may as well be the same. And then I got Canadian Hunter coming up. I think that's the last of it. I got enough for one more challenge. Canadian Hunter's done well. It's been on the market 40 years now. It's 40th anniversary. Are they going to have a 40th anniversary celebration for Sazerac? Canadian Hunter? Pretty much doubt that. But I guess I'd rather have the Harwood because I like that oak, that strong oak flavor. It's like a savory oak flavor. So yeah, I think I'll go with the Harwood as the winner. But yeah, James Foxe is pretty fine. It's nice. All right, last comments, and we're going out of here. Tonight I'm drinking Old Granddad, good product, 80 proof, and also the 100 proof bottle and bond. That's a little strong for me, but I've had both and I love both. Old Granddad is a classic. The only one that I'll ever hang out with me these days is my Old Granddad.